Hey guys, how's it going? It is Halloween, October 31st, 2019. And I thought I just got home and I thought I would share a little something that I thought about today. Actually, it was kind of weird because I was cleaning up I was cleaning I was cleaning up the forum. I was like something about a hostile takeover or something. Somebody posted something. I was like, "What the hell?" That was kind of amusing. I have no idea. Something about Roboblocks or something. I have no idea what it was all about. But um, so anyways, I just want to be really fairly quick about this because I probably have mentioned this before. But since I'm in a better frame of mind, at least, kind of found that little Run8 niche again. Um, I thought I would try something. And more with a, instead of coming from a, not a resentful frame of mind, or not one that looks, I don't know, how would you say, jealous, or I what else have I been accused of? Let's see. Oh yeah, all about myself, so I guess that would be selfish. I have no idea, but anyways, I do know I've had a pretty good idea as far as the pulse, and quite frankly, a lot of things are changing in the world we live in. There's all kinds of competition for entertainment, quite frankly. So there's more to life than just a train simulator. I've noticed that, but I have seen. I had an old video today that nobody knew about Run8, and they were asking me as if I created it. I said, because I had one of these videos for RTS, and this was from a couple. This was back when AI first came out, and it was, I think, an introduction video, and I just copied and pasted the Run8 Studios website and said, go over there and take a look. I said I have nothing to do with creating the software. So I was like, I thought it's interesting that a lot of my older, quote unquote, more popular views still get hits. Now I'm lucky to get 50 on average, which is fine because, and the forum's a joke, quite frankly. I don't even know. I don't even know why I have it, to be quite honest. Um, and I would have posted this, but it's just like, nah, it's better. Just put it on YouTube, hear my voice, and then you can tell that. Hopefully, you can tell through. I could have put the camera on, but I'm not bothering. Um, that I'm coming from a calm place and a happy place, not a resentful place or a jealous place or anything like that. But so Scott and I right now, we are keeping it just the two of us. I've heard that others have done similar things, although I guess they're not advertising it or they're not promoting it or pushing videos that I know of. Mind you, I don't search for Run8 stuff on YouTube, so, or train simulator stuff, to be honest. Um, because I know what's out there pretty much. If anything else is coming out, I'd hear it on the train sim forums. They always, I mean, Subway, something like, what was it? Subway Toronto TTC simulator or something like that, which isn't too far from me. And I thought to myself, hey, yeah, that would be kind of cool to check out. But I don't want to run a subway simulator. That's just not for me. So Run8 still to this day is, in my opinion, the best train simulator out there. Unfortunately, what happened as far as um, all that excitement from version 1, it has nothing to do with version 3, really. It has really nothing to do with the lack of buzz for version 3 versus the full buzz for version 2. Version 2, the need for version 3, really, I don't even know. Everybody has their own interest for version 3, I suppose. I think there's certain things that are needed in version 3, but I doubt I'm going to see them, personally. I'll probably stick with version 2 for as long as I can handle it, or that I got something else going. No, I'm not going single player. No. No, I like doing what I'm doing right now. So I'm like I said, I'm very happy doing what I'm doing. Scott and I are running Barstow. Single player is dreadfully boring, so I do not like doing single player. It gets old way too quick. I could technically do Barstow single player, and still, but at that point, it probably would become dull pretty quick. What's interesting, and this is why I've always liked multiplayer. Multiplayer gives you the ability to see other people, see other trains, communicate with others, and actually see an interaction, not just trains running by and flashing lights and honking and all that other stuff. That to me was, and this has always been the goal of Run8, is to promote multiplayer. It always has been. So with that in mind, with that, it was never really meant to be a single player simulator. It was never built for single players. So there's no activities, there's nothing really conditioned for single player, although some people would say, well, for some people it does work very well for single player. They're quite happy seeing AI trains just passing through like eye candy, or dispatching themselves and stuff like that. That to me defeats the whole purpose of what multiplayer brings, or even what a good activity brings in, say, a Microsoft Train Simulator or others. Any structured activity that's really good, that works well, is actually, to me, much more enjoyable than single player in Run8, for example. I at least I think it's more interactive, and it feels more like you're part of something. Hence why I would like to see some AI come into play, but I don't know how much AI we're really going to see down the road. In addition, there's only so far you can push it, and I don't know if Run8 is interested in pushing it. There hasn't seemed to be too much of an indication that they are going to push it. However, I hopefully intend to, at some point, be able to push it. First things first, though, is I have to update RTS, get RTS doing what I want it to do, and from there, once I'm down to the yard level, once I'm down to the whole car forwarding level again, and I can actually deal with Run8 for now in version 2, then I can start using that as a base to develop further ideas. Possibly, if I can't get a 3D simulator, a good 2D simulator might be even as effective, or at least rewarding for my own purposes. But I'm not too sure about that. But I do want to develop the AI so that single player is not only just being able to run activities, but being able to have repeat playability, which is very important if you're going to run something quite a bit. So what happened with, I personally think, I remember a couple years ago, about around, I think it would be about 2 years, it would be, I guess it would be 3 years ago now, 3 years to this day, I think that's when we were starting to get into the buzz with version 2. And that was, I think it was in January. I was looking at this video, and it actually brought back some memories, because I looked at the video for which this person was commenting on, and gave them the link to Run8 and all that stuff. I still get comments on videos all the time. It's kind of cool. So it's always neat that I do get those comments, despite the fact that my forum's dead. It's nice to have people on here, chatting with me. It's nice to get comments once in a while. Like I said, the forum is dead, though. Other than a few jokers that come on and, want to do whatever, I don't care. I mean, if it gets to the point where I'm just dealing with jokers as opposed to dealing with people that are serious, then that's where I'll just probably just give it up, or at least give that part up. I've always wanted it so that there was a place for RTS once I have more versions out there. But here's my take. We had all this buzz going on for version 2 because AI was going to fill a hole. I remember running the server, or running the what eventually became the Southwest server, and I remember how things were okay back then, and it was a lot different. But once you got a hold of the potential for AI, it was a game changer. And suddenly we were able to run full trains, full schedules. And we were doing that quite a bit on the Southwest because we were dealing with primarily, I think it was just Needles, Cajon, Barstow, and I think West Colton was in there. Bakersfield wasn't fully expanded yet, so a lot of the Bakersfield stuff was spawned in for SJVR interchanges. There really wasn't that much as far as additional expansion. Of course, there was talk of all kinds of expansion, and there was talk about other things like Alaska, and then there was talk about Chicago, and of course we had the Southeast already in play and the Northeast already in play. I started looking towards both the Northeast and the Southeast as potential. Southeast I wasn't going to go to because there was already an RTS server up for that, so I was looking at the Northeast. It didn't really play out. I find that the Barstow hump is the one that works the best out of all the humps. West Colton's okay, but the California Southwest humps to me work the best. The Northeast has some issues still, I find. Cars that go the wrong way, stuff like that. At least you can retrieve them. In the Southeast, though, I find there's issues with that hump. I don't know why it is, and I don't know if it's a memory thing or what, or too many things going on, or it's too big. I'm not sure what it is. But there's a lot of times where a car will go down the wrong track. And when it happens, you cannot just go in there and retrieve it. You end up having to re-hump it from the trim. So in other words, it goes all the way down. I love the Southeast hump at Waycross. I love that hump. It's just a full-fledged hump, and it's really a cool-looking one. And of course, in reality, you don't have the manual switches at the hump end. So, of course, it's getting longer than I expected, but anyways, what else is new? So, those are one of the things that it's just one of those things where I don't I like Barstow because it works. It's not as big as I would like it, but it works. It does what it has to do, and it's good enough for me right now. And it allows a challenge. Will it get dull? Will it get boring? I don't know. That's up for Scott and I to decide. But until then, I'll just continue to keep doing it. I'm looking forward to this weekend. Later on at the end of the weekend or Monday or whatever we decide to do it. I'm already started. Even last night, I think I had some time, so I started playing around with some of the displays. When I'm gonna go into the tracks, update those. So I've got the reporting there. But getting back to what happened, what really changed to me in the community was that you started expanding further in California. And in order to accommodate that, you had two options. Either you stopped running locals and you just ran a bunch of trains to keep people happy and just run locals whenever on demand. So you really weren't running on a schedule anymore. You were kind of running on a pseudo schedule, kind of like what the Southwest does in a way now, because they have no choice. They want to run every route. And Seligman's there's talk about expansion with Seligman. I think Bakersfield is in there now. So it's just going to keep expanding. And the base isn't really getting that much bigger. There are signs that it could potentially get bigger or grow, but it all depends. The Southwest server has been down for a good, I think, 2 or 3 months now. And it is coming back. As far as I know, it's coming back next month. Second week in November, I think it is. So I'm looking forward to that. And we'll see how things go. If it's on a Sunday, I'll definitely be able to run. So I'm looking forward to that, and I will participate in that. I will put the Barstow stuff on Monday. And use my Sunday to participate over there and probably get into some dispatching or whatever. But that's where I look back on. I see 2 servers right now that have been able to survive based on... I'm not even too sure what differentiates them, to be quite honest. One was been around a little longer than the other, but you have 2 big servers that are out there from what I see on the Run8 Studios list the other day. All those other small servers that used to be on that list are gone. And the reason why they're gone was because when you're a host of a server and you dedicate your computer time and you dedicate the resources of a computer for people to use, and people don't want to use it because you don't have X amount of this, or you don't have this many routes running, or you don't basically, whatever it is, it doesn't please enough. Usually it's not enough people running. The problem is when you got these big routes, you need, not only do you need the AI isn't good enough, you need people to dispatch the AI, hence why I wanted an AI dispatcher, hence why I wanted to get involved in AI dispatching. I wanted to get involved in having an interface such as the other external dispatcher that's coming out. I wanted to do the same thing in my own vision because I have the algorithms, I could do the AI in it. At least that's something I could do in Run8. What I can't do is I have no interface to go in and interface with the actual AI of the trains themselves, because that, to me, is the other piece of the puzzle. If you could have an AI dispatcher, doesn't have to work 100% effective. As long as it does a pretty damn good job, that's good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. Not all dispatchers are as efficient as others. Every dispatcher is different. But if you have the AI dispatching in play, then you have the AI that is able to switch out a train. We've already heard about the AI hump. That was an idea I had as well. I didn't really was public about it. Somebody else mentioned it on Train Sim and John liked it, so that could be coming with version 3. I mean, it's a start, but I think it needs to go even further. The hump really the hump's only one person per yard. You still need somebody to trim that yard. The trim is where the real work is. A hump, Yeah, you're taking up a player, but it's actually a very relaxing, enjoyable experience for me because I get to do a lot of work around the house and enjoy trains and enjoy participating with somebody and giving somebody some work to do. So Scott likes it because he might be bored during the day or whatever, and he likes to have the challenge there so that his yard is filling up with new stuff that's being humped by somebody, another human, which is me, and he's able to take it from there and build trains. And he's able to, I can give him instructions. We can switch roles once in a while too. I have no problem running the trim, although I prefer to run the hump personally, but that's okay. Scott was saying the other day, he says, to me, I was in my element back when I was dispatching. And I said, well, yeah, I enjoy dispatch. That's why if the Southwest server starts up, I would certainly love to take a dispatch role again. Yes, it's great to be able to dispatch in an environment, not so much where other people are there, but when the operation is there, when the actual trains, it feels like a real setup. So I'm looking forward to attempting to do that, especially with the external dispatcher, going back into that and being able to set that up and get that to work. It's been a while, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. And if I can do it, great. So that is what for me is the only surviving interest I have in Run8. Everything else is not there. And I had a couple people that were asking me privately, why don't I just go on the servers? I don't think I know I had issues with or a fallout or difference of opinion or whatever you want to call it with the one server, but the other server I've never been part of. I've never joined. And it's not, and the only reason why is nothing personal against that server. I've never had an issue with them. I know, I believe the person who runs it. I got no problems with that person whatsoever. I got no problem with the server itself. But for me to run on a server that just because it has a lot of people, for me doesn't make it interesting. Just because you put a lot of people on a server, that's great and that's cool and all, and I know a lot of people are just attracted to that. They're attracted to have the people there and to run the trains. But if you're running trains at whatever schedule you want to run and do whatever, it's just not for me. I want to, if it's as real as it gets, I want it to be as real as it gets. I want it to feel as though it's running. So basically, when I go on, I just don't want to go on 24/7 and come on and one person's just clearing out their own routes and stuff like that or whatever. Because I've seen these things happen in smaller before the expansion. I can just imagine what it's like now, and the numbers are not as high as they once were, from what I understand. I could be wrong on that. Maybe they are, but everything that I'm hearing, I keep hearing, well, no, it's not that people have just started their own private model railroad clubs. Well, that's fine and that's great, and perhaps that's just with me not networking or whatever, or not being on the right forums. But it's difficult to talk about forming your own private servers or talk about any other server when certain forums don't like you talking about other servers when they are hosting a server. Me, I don't care. People can talk about any other server they want on I could care less. Even when I had a server up, I really didn't care. That was fine. But so yeah, that to me is the is the one thing that I think needs to fill the gap in order to get the excitement back. We've got then we got, like I said, there's Northeast. Um, it's Northeast it takes a lot more people to make the double track work, or it takes AI switching, as I was saying. The Southeast is, from what I understand, expanding, and even where it's at right now, it still takes a lot of people because there's so much switching involved, especially around the Jacksonville area. Waycross isn't so much, but Waycross in itself is actually a pretty big setup. It's a lot more complicated than Barstow is, for example, because you're dealing with a lot more tracks, a lot more blocking, a lot more distributions. It's actually more prototypical, but in a way, it's good that Barstow isn't as prototypical, because at least you can still kind of make it realistic. So. Okay, hold on a second. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out my schedule there, just to answer Mikey. Sunday, of course, I'm with my weekend. So, yeah, so that's I guess really that's what happened. Is there's and I understand why these places expanded. I understand why California had to expand. California is the base. It is their bread and butter. It's what they know the most. So they expanded. Poor Mikey, he's by himself in the Northeast. He doesn't have, and like, he's by himself, and then you got the Southeast, which is a two-man team. That only these aren't easy things to do, to build up these routes, but when you build them, of course you're going to want to expand them. It's just those are what you know. To be able to just jump into something else all of a sudden and create a brand new route from scratch, that's difficult. I know there was a Chicago route. I've heard there might be other regions. At least that's what I thought I heard about a year ago, but I could be wrong. Maybe I misunderstood. I was kind of looking forward to that, especially some smaller regions, perhaps something that's not so big, that gives the ability to run something that may not be too labor intensive, but still allow some multiplayer. Unfortunately, right now, Scott and I, and we had at least one other person that was interested in California. But so California, I mean, or what was it? Yeah, with what Scott and I are doing right now. Scott was in the same boat as I was. He was just, he had no interest in computers or whatever. So he's of the same opinion of me. He's actually quite. He was quite pleased with how last weekend went. or Monday or whatever the hell it was. I think it was Sunday and Monday we did it. So I think he's, from what I understand, he's looking forward to, I got his creative juices flowing again with some of the dispatch displays, and I've also given him a challenge with Blender. Now, the whole talk about Blender, of course, has more to do with me building my own simulator. But that is that's long term. I got too many things that I need to build upon the Yardmaster application. The Yardmaster application is the big one that is coming. I haven't written a line of code for it. What's next for me is to get the interfaces going up with the sheets. I need to get those in play. I've already started. Actually, my son came down yesterday, surprisingly a little bit earlier than I expected, but it didn't matter anyways because I wasn't going to get much more done. But I showed him the CSV, I showed him everything, and it was in yesterday's video. So from there, now I've got a data file that will work with our RTS's software. However, it also works with Google Sheets. It works with all those other things. So Google Sheets basically runs where I could experiment and try different things until I'm ready, that I like something and it becomes more efficient to code it. Yeah, I know you are, Mike. I you always have, and hopefully, I know a lot of people have asked for an RTS2. I've had, I still get requests for it. Up to this point, I didn't have a reason to do it, honestly. I just didn't have a reason. I lost my, I lost my sense of community. I lost my reasoning for wanting to do it for myself, and I honestly didn't. There's so much that's actually in Run8 version 2 that it doesn't do it as perfectly as I would like it, but it still does an adequate enough job. And then I realized the external dispatcher has the AI command. And I think what happened was I was either in the northeast or the southeast. I was in one of them, and external dispatcher was not working for it yet. And that's when I realized, once I realized that, I especially going back into California, I said, oh, that's right, I can do it through external dispatcher. So that's eventually coming, because if I can AI the trains in external dispatcher, well then boom, I don't have to leave my train. I could be doing whatever I'm doing in Barstow without having to if you give up the hunt in Barstow, unfortunately with no AI, which is no big deal, that's the thing, that would be the whole cool thing for it. Not really a roadblock. Not really a roadblock. I can't say it was a roadblock so much as it was external dispatcher expanding, and then me cluing in on it was it's never got the ED. Oh yeah. So yeah, it wasn't so much a roadblock for me. I was just I kept on going back. For the long time, I actually tried to do other things. I just tried to get away from Run8 as best I could. I tried getting into other things. I tried, I still like Stormworks. I still like some of the other stuff that's out there. But I was trying to find another program that could even come close to having the purpose that Run8 had. And I just couldn't find it. So it was actually when I started looking back at trains, again, the prototype trains, and I was doing more and more watching of the prototype trains within the last few months, either myself or my son and I. and that was getting the buzz and getting the feeling like, I gotta think of a way. I gotta think of a way of how I can do this. Honestly, at this point, this is the only way, other than the Southwest server, participating in the Southwest server, this is the only way I see it working. I had a California server up for nearly 24/7. I put it up. What the hell did I do? I had it up, and it was really. I thought I had lost. I thought 2 weeks ago, I literally thought I was at the end of my line. I gave it my all, and that was it. We couldn't get anybody. But then again, nobody is really on the forums. I have no advertising. I'm not posting anywhere really. If I post on TrainSim is not a popular forum for Run8, unfortunately. There's a bunch of people that are on it, that hang out, but I wouldn't say, it's kind of like a fringe group. It's really weird. I can't explain it. Oh yeah, cool. But so I was just looking for different ways of trying to do it, and I went back to California thinking, okay, this is the route that everybody has. Let me try to put the resources in. This is why servers go down. Because when people take the time, like myself or others, and people don't show up and it's just you. I know of a server right now that's running 24/7. I kid you not. It is still running because it shows up on my list. And as far as I know, he gets nobody else on. But he still keeps running and he still keeps doing it anyways. And, that person I know is a guy that we get along real well, and that's Smiley, and he's running the Northeast. His server is up there. I don't know if I imagine he's got it advertised. I hope he has it advertised. But Smiley's server, he's running the Northeast. And it is still going. But nobody goes on it. And it's unfortunate, because if you got more people onto it, then suddenly, and this is going, tying back into the whole video, and this is going way longer than I expected. And this was the point I've at. You get enough people into something, and you're able to do the switching, and you're able to do all the stuff that's with it. Then the whole thing starts to snowball, and it's that manpower that keeps the server in a territory going. There goes my voice again. Oh, you didn't know about that? Smiley's server? Where the hell is it? Hold on a second. Let me see if it's up. I'll try it. I'll give it a try. Did it run? Oh, it's loading. Okay. You watch it be down. It'll probably be down. Last time I checked, though, it was up. He's up. There it is right there, guys. He hasn't been on my forum lately. I don't know if he's advertising it, but that's it right there. This means he is up. Scott's not running because, I mean, he's tried a server. Actually, I think he was trying the Northeast too, if I recall. I thought he was, anyways. I could be wrong. Maybe it was. Yeah, he was doing the Northeast. But yeah, Smiley. This one changes all the time, so don't use the number, but go with K. What the hell is it? KIWR8.hop2.org. And when you go into here, of course, there's nobody on right now. I don't know if Smiley's on. Well, the trains are running. I actually set up the AIs, and it looks like he still has it set up the same way that I. What I did was I set up the AIs to run on a fleet, so they run on a pattern. One sponsor here, the other sponsor there. We've got it all set up so that the AIs are constantly running. But and I, as far as I know, he still runs. Last I checked, I mean, I see still 3 trains and around. And I was running for here for a while, but then I just, you know, when there's not enough, it's kind of weird. I wanted to run a smaller section of what my original intention was to run the CP switching district only. But he wanted to run the whole server, and it's his server. He can do what he wants. For me, it wasn't the case, but he'll run a little bit at a time, and he's been enjoying it, and I mean, that's great as long as he's having fun and he's not worried about, you know, he's just basically playing single player right now, and it's available to the community. Like, here's a train that's going through right now. Of course, I don't have all the cars, but so these trains are basically self-fleeting themselves, and he's got everything going. I mean, you got trains on Mohawk, Selkirk. It's all running. It is there. And this is where I've said it. Even when I had a California server up, I didn't care. Anybody can post and say, hey, I'd love to see people pick up on here, but you need more people to run it. And this is what was happening. Scott and I were on here trying to give him a hand, and I thought Scott was still running on this. Maybe he still does. I don't know, but I don't think it gets enough attention, unfortunately. And that's just the way it is. And I found that with the Northeast too. It just didn't get enough. Not enough people were interested, unfortunately. I don't know why. It just not enough people were there, or whatever. Beats the hell out of me. But yeah. So, anyways, he's not there right now. So, but yeah. So it's so yeah, I wish it was used more. It'd be great if it was. But that's the kind of thing. I mean, people who are willing to give up their computer 24/7 and put it up there. Like I was saying, I mean, the hump actually has issues with some of the bigger cars. I know that. But other than that, everything else seems to be fine. I mean, I know, Mike, you've fixed pretty much most of the issues as far as I know. I don't know what it is. There's certain tracks in the hump that it doesn't like big cars. It just, I think they stall or something. I forget what it is. Oh yeah, it's a curvature issue. It I forget which track it is. It's been a while. But those kind of things can still be relatively resolved. They're just kind of a nuisance. They can still be switched. or you can avoid having auto racks go in the hump to begin with. But I think even the refrigerator cars do it too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I don't know why. It's just one of those things that you know, and this is where I sense that there's not as many people out there, or at least people. It seems like people want the big mobs, and they want the big traffic, or they want dispatchers that are constantly running, and I understand that. I totally get it. I feel weird because I don't know. The 24/7 concept, despite popular opinion, was actually created by was I was the first one that came out with it. And maybe I created a monster, but within a day, uh, within a day, the major server of the day decided, well, that's what they were going to do. It was kind of weird because they were the first server that actually had an anarchy server. I didn't have an anarchy server. Anarchy was, you have an anarchy server? Are you kidding? Why would you give people that much power? Even John said that one time. Why would anybody want to run in anarchy? I remember back in the day him saying that when we were doing beta testing, and I was like, but sure enough, you know, sure enough, the I can't even think of the guy's name anymore. It's been so long, I can't even remember. Oh yeah, it was a damn server, and which is long gone. But you know, and remnants of that is over at Run8. I would imagine there are a lot of people, you know, flocked from one to the other, basically. You know, once that ship sunk, but and you know, I still have my legacy over the Southwest server. There's a lot of new faces over there too, but my legacy come RTS legacy for Mike and the Southwest server and the Southeast server as well. I don't know if the Southeast server is still up. I have not heard anything. If it's still up, if he's still running the Southeast or not. If he is, great. But at the time, he had very few people that were still on it. But I haven't been inclined to try to find out or try to search it or whatever. But I know it's not advertised on. None of those are advertised on Run8's site. And I don't know if they're advertised on TrainSim. You can advertise on TrainSim if you want. You just send a message to one of the moderators over there, and they'll advertise your site. They'll put a thumbnail up. I took mine down way, you know, like a year or a couple years ago when I took it down, but they were willing to do that. And so I mean, there is places to advertise, but sorry, and the other one is Run8 servers. I think Run8 servers, Smiley server might be on it. A lot of people don't know about Run8 servers, but that's actually advertised on Run8's website still in the community section. So you go on the Run8 servers, and then you can find some. Now the problem with that is there's not that many out there. There really isn't. I don't even know if there is. There used to be sessions that would come up. Different servers would just run sessions. That doesn't happen that much anymore, unfortunately. So it is what it is, and this is where I understand. I understand how multiplayer and being focused on multiplayer is important to Run8. I get it. I totally was with them on that. And I really felt that it had the power. But once it got so big to where you needed more and more people to operate it in a realistic manner, that's when, to me, it kind of lost its realism. And two weeks ago when I was dispatching California, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was there. Scott was actually online, I think, at the time, but he wasn't doing anything. He just couldn't get into it. And myself, I was dispatching some trains or something like that. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I was watching AI meets or something. And I was thinking to myself, why am I doing this? I'm watching I'm watching a bunch of eye candy was what I was watching. They're not really built trains in the quote unquote RTS type of environment that I used to have. They weren't really built by anybody. I used to love it when, yeah, it wasn't as cool to have the AI and have all the trains running and meeting, but it was always cool to know that some other people had built a train up or had switched industries that actually built that train that went on, because that's where the bug came in, because I started more recently when I started seeing these trains. I'm starting to see trains in Niagara, which is a very small handful of trains that run in Niagara. We're talking for CN, there's like 6 or 8. It's about a dozen when you combine it with CP. And I started seeing cars that were coming in on one train, and I saw it come in. I saw it that was switched out at Port Robinson, and then they were coming in on locals. And I always knew this because I always used to follow it. I'd follow it vigorously on a Saturday morning. I'd be able to see the logistics behind the whole operation. That's what inspired me to do RTS years ago. And that was kind of what I was trying to find again. And I would see these trains, and I was just like, man, so much potential. But where can I get that potential? Where can I use Run8 to really push that potential in there? Because Run8 is so demanding of manpower. And that's where the community, you could have these little sessions, or you could have sessions, but unfortunately, I think 24/7. I hate to say it, but 24/7 really changed a lot of things, because it made it more convenient. But imagine if you had a bunch of servers that would just come on once in a while and run sessions at certain times of the week and just continue. If it was that way, instead you got these two big 24/7 servers that are getting a lot, still getting the bulk of the attention, which is fine. That's what service they provide, and people are into it. So I'm not knocking it. It is what it is. But unfortunately, that's anybody who was hosting a server up to that point. It just got these servers. Either you didn't have enough people on some of the ones, like some of the smaller territories, like the Northeast and the Southeast. You didn't have enough manpower, or on the Southwest, you had a fair amount of people, but you just didn't have enough to run it as prototypically as you'd want to. And some people don't care about prototypical either. They just want to make sure they have enough people. It's kind of weird, like if you're on a double, triple track line, like Needles or whatever, or Cajon, and you're just running the majority of the trains you're running are AI. It's all eye candy. And then a lot of times, especially when it gets so big, you don't have enough dispatchers. I found that in California. It was just like, wow, I think it takes like 3 dispatchers now to run California. You can do it with 2, but man, is it freaking tiring. Some people can do it with 1, but ugh. So, anyways, back to round this all up before I end this for the evening, because it's been almost an hour by the looks of it, and I'm losing my voice again. So, but this is why I'm back into it. I'm back into it on a limited capacity, within my threshold. I would certainly open it up to others. Unfortunately, Barstow really doesn't need the others. And the only other way I could do it is if I had a Boron local and a Cadiz local running on a regular basis. And the fact is, I could do Cadiz, Boron, and I could do what's that other one that goes on the Cajon sub? Can't think of it right now. I can't think of the name of it. But I could run those locals. The problem with that is I have no intentions on dispatching those other sections. Actually, right now I'm not even using the Mojave sub for anything. I'm just using the Cajon line or whatever the hell you call it up to not the Cajon sub, what the hell you call that? The San Bernardino? No, it's not the San Bernardino either. I can't even think. Maybe it is Cajon. I don't know what the hell it is. I've lost my brain. It's like, what is the damn line? I know it's Cajon. But is that the name of the subdivision? San Bernardino sub starts in San Bernardino. So I guess it is the Cajon sub. Maybe I'm just getting confused. I'm thinking it was UP for some reason, but no, the UP is the Mojave sub. Okay, yeah, BNSF Cajon sub. Gotcha. So, yeah, I run everything on and off the Cajon. And then I run everything on the other side on and off Yermo. Even the BNSF stuff. They all run, actually, they run out of Daggett. They run east, they run off of the yard track at Yermo. To delete themselves. And the other way, I have it going all the way to Oro Grande on the Cajon to delete itself, and they spawn at Lenwood. That's the only spawn points I use. That's the only deletion points I use. I don't even use the BNSF Mojave sub. So, and I'm not worried about complex dispatching, rather. It's basically the train's going through. That's all about eye candy and bringing the inbounds in and the outbounds out. That's all it's for. I will not be using. I have no intentions of using the BNSF Mojave sub, but I could potentially use it just to run that local. But there's not going to be any AI going down there because that's all it's for right now. I mean, my focus is Barstow. And the reason why my focus is Barstow is, number one, it's something Scott and I can do and enjoy. Number two, it leads me into developing the RTS2 Yardmaster module. It also never mind. I can't even say it. My voice is gone, or my brain. It also leads me to, in the process, actually develop RTS2 to get it to spawn again, to start spawning trains in Run8 version 2. So that's coming, as far as I can tell. I don't see why not, because I don't like how I would much rather be able to spawn my local cars embedded within the manifest trains instead of just having local cars. There's tricks and ways you can get around that, but I would much rather have have my own spawn trains coming in as opposed to relying on the AI system to do it. I like their tagging system. That's pretty much 90% of what I would do, and the fact it's automated is a bonus. So, like I said, there's a lot of things in Run8 version 2 that work well. The tagging system is really well. The actual AI of the trains themselves is perfect. It's not perfect. It's just really good. I mean, yeah, okay, you could have it dim the lights. You could certainly have it work. If it's a train that works a yard, that would imagine if you had trains that can work the yards. You can have the hump. You can have everything, and you can have AI dispatching. There would be no worries about putting a 24/7 server up, because suddenly you have everything automated. You just set it up the parameters the way you want, and it's smart enough to do it. But that's where the Yardmaster module comes in. So the Yardmaster module first is going to be a tool. It's going to be a tool for Barstow at first. It's going to be a tool for me, and I've already had this in play before in the spreadsheet version, but I'm going to make it even better. The whole idea is so that I have a decision process when trains are coming in, what I could hump, what I don't need to hump, blah, 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 priorities, scheduling, the whole thing. It's all in there. But then what is going to happen beyond that is eventually I'm going to get into the AI. Now I cannot interface with Run8 with any AI right now. I don't have the knowledge to be able to interface with AI dispatching. So I'm using the external. I will be using the external dispatcher. If I could, I would have an AI dispatcher. I would put it out in. That would be my next thing I'd program. But because I can't, I'm not even going to worry about the dispatching. I'm going to focus on the yard side. What will happen, likely, and I'm not going to worry about Run8 version 3 or 2 or whatever. If it doesn't sustain me and I'm ready to program my next project, that's where I will start focusing on my own simulator, be it 2D or 3D. And it's not going to be anything as close to what Run8 is capable of doing, but what it will be able to do that Run8 or no other simulator can, to my knowledge, is it will have AI dispatching ability and it will have AI switching ability. That's all going to build off to the Yardmaster functions, because it's the Yardmaster that is going to be able to issue the commands, figure out how to present commands, present tasks for yard crews. That's all going to come into Run8. Actually, you'll start seeing an AI Yardmaster come into play. That's going to make the decisions that I'm making right now for Scott, so that I can be in the trim and it is going to calculate what needs to be done. It's going to be calculating, hey, we have these cars, we have this schedule to go, we need this power on this because we need this HPT and we need this to go at a certain time. We need this power to go to the shop because it's due for its 30-day or 60-day or whatever. All these factors are going to come in, and they're going to first be part of the spreadsheets. Then they're going to be automated into the program for the RTS software. Then they're going to have AI embedded into it so that an AI Yardmaster is capable of doing it. Why have that? It just gives a purpose for more single player, and it gives something for the single player to enjoy without having to make the decisions. It's like working with someone even though it's AI. But going beyond Run8 and outside of Run8's box, eventually it's going to link into an entire railroad transportation system. Be it Run8 version 3, capable of doing a big section like California and handling several yards and car forwarding and everything like that. Or outside of Run8. If Run8 doesn't evolve to where I think it has its potential of evolving, then that's where I'm going to develop my own simulator. And I will start focusing, it'll be maybe Run8 compatible, at least to some extent. But the way I look at evolving it is to basically run an entire railroad or network of various yards and independent or interdependent yards, kind of like Freight Yard Manager, except unlike Freight Yard Manager, it's actually going to be doing the whole process of building the trains, blocking the trains, setting up everything. The AI is going to be able to do whatever. If you want to take over for one of those AIs, you can, and part of a multiplayer network, which is a long ways away because I got to just make it work for single player first. Multiplayer comes later. But those are the things. Multiplayer, I'm sure I can get multiplayer in there. I'll figure out a way, but... Oh, that was a mouthful. My voice is... Now my throat's sore. I don't know what's with me. I think it's because I got my feet up on this couch, or this sofa thing here, and my voice just kind of... I can't just talk for an hour. I need to have a drink, and I don't do that, so... Whew. So I need a drink. So, and no, not alcohol, but anyways. Thanks for joining me, guys. And I'm going to call this for now, but hope you enjoyed that. I will be back probably We may be back on the weekend, or not Saturday, because we're going to be in Buffalo on Saturday, my son and I. So watching some trains, but probably maybe I doubt it Friday night, but maybe early on Sunday into Sunday evening, and then likely Monday I'll be running. Probably going to be running Barstow with Scott on Monday night, I would imagine. So, anyways, that's it for now, guys. You guys have a good one, and we'll talk to you later. Take care.